Wednesday, January 29th. 2 days after murdering her stepson Gannon, Letecia Stauch found herself in an ambulance with 2 detectives, en route to the hospital after faking a panic attack. During transport, Letecia refused to answer the medic's basic questions and pretended to be lethargic. Detective Jessica Bethel was confused by this behavior as she sat quietly, simply observing. Letecia could act however she wanted. It would not prevent the search warrant currently being reviewed by a judge that allowed law enforcement to detain her until evidence was collected from her body. The faked medical emergency would also not stop the search that was being conducted at that very moment of the house at 6627 Mandan Drive. When they arrived at Memorial Hospital, Letecia was suddenly alert once more, and again attempting to regain control of the situation. She asked repeatedly to leave. Twice she went to the restroom, and after one trip, she accused the detective of going through her jacket. She made 2 phone calls, one to Harley, and the other was believed to be to her mother, although Letecia claimed she called her attorney, who advised her that her 5th and 6th Amendment rights were being violated. One time, she attempted to open the locked doors to the secure area. An alarm sounded, and detectives were able to verbally return Letecia to her exam room. The second time she attempted to leave, the detective stood in her way to prevent the alarm from sounding again, and had to grab Letecia by the arm before once again Letecia returned to her room. While speaking to medical personnel, Letecia volunteered to a SANE exam, which is more commonly known as a rape kit. Although 2 days had passed since the alleged assault, Letecia stated during the interview that she had not showered or bathed since. When the warrant was signed, it was for non-invasive evidence collection only, such as under fingernails. So the SANE exam could not be forced upon Letecia. During the collection of evidence, photographs were taken of Letecia's head and scalp, which showed no indication it had been struck repeatedly and hit against a table. Although Letecia volunteered to a SANE exam, as soon as Letecia learned that Harley had arrived at the hospital, Letecia asked to be discharged. The detectives also took note that she no longer asked or seemed concerned about any medical symptoms. Search warrant completed, Letecia learned that she was free to leave. She claimed she was only going to get a drink of water and would return to complete the SANE exam, but instead, Letecia disappeared out into the lobby, walked to a nearby Taco Bell, where Harley and her co-worker Janine Sanchez were waiting. Janine testified about Letecia's odd behavior during that car ride. Because her phone had been seized, Letecia used Harley's. When Gannon went missing, Janine told Harley if there was any way she could help to let her know. When Harley asked if she could stay with her that night, Janine said yes. Janine testified that when Letecia climbed into the back seat, she remarked, "I hope you don't think we're a bunch of murderers." Janine said that it was strange that instead of just asking verbally, and even though it was obvious that Letecia was using Harley's phone, Letecia pretended a text came from Harley asking, "Can my mom stay too?" Settled in for the evening at Janine's house, the following text message reveals that Letecia was now taking steps to evade law enforcement. At 8:48 p.m., she texted her sister Amy, "We have to take location off and get another number. We'll call you back." Letecia recruited help, so at that time, 3 of her family members were making travel arrangements to come to her aid. With that step completed, she moved forward, plotting and planning. The missing child had garnered a lot of attention on social media. In addition to search efforts being organized, speculation and scrutiny had arisen quickly. Letecia was aware of this. She even participated, posting comments from her mother and her sister's accounts. How would it look now if text messages were leaked of Letecia informing her husband that she was leaving him and moving out? Leaving her husband 48 hours after his child went missing on her watch. So instead, the messages would come from Harley's phone. Albert told detectives the day before that this was a common tactic Letecia used during arguments, so he would have known that it was really Letecia. But he responded as if speaking to Harley, surely knowing that she would at least read the messages. And in spite of the cruel and hurtful messages he was receiving, he sent supportive and kind messages to his stepdaughter, knowing the chaos that was coming to her mother, attempting to protect her from it. 9:16 p.m. Harley's phone to Al. I need to be able to get all my belongings tomorrow with my grandma so that I have a place to live with my family. Please. Al responds, call me. Harley's phone. No, I don't want to. I don't want to live there. I just need to know I can do that privately with my grandma present. Al. Okay, whatever you need, I will support you. You taking Chance and Sadie? Harley's phone. Will that be okay? To load up all of my things alone? Al. Harley, I will be there to help you. Obviously, I want you to stay, and you know that, but I understand your feelings. Harley's phone. I need their supplies too. They were left with no way to go out, and I feel I will give them a better care. Al. Not true. The deputies took them out and fed them. I made sure of that and went home once to check. 9:19. Harley's phone. They need love, not just going out. Al. We all do. Harley's phone. Again, is it okay that my grandma and I load up my things? Al. Yes, I will be there to help and support you. Harley's phone. I asked you, could we be alone? I do not want your things. Al. I will not bother you, but I have a responsibility to you, and that isn't changing. Harley's phone. I will get my cell changed tomorrow. Thank you. My family would like to be with me, and I'm asking that you understand that and let me get them. I want my mom's things too, because we wear a lot of the same things, and I have all my memory boxes. What day can I get everything alone? Al. Mama not coming home? Do you know something? 'Cause we know nothing. Harley's phone. That's funny, 'cause the lady showed me your thread. 9:25. Harley's phone. Please tell me I can get my things privately so my family spend their money on a ticket and a rental truck. I have to tell them. Al. Tell them what? Harley's phone. I asked, can I arrange a time to come privately with my family to get belongings? Al. Tell who? Harley's phone. My grandma. Al. Anyone can come, but I will be there, and a cop can be there too. Harley's phone. No one would take anything of yours. Al. Harley, I'm not worried about that. I have a responsibility here, and this is the right way. Between 9:30 and 9:33 p.m., Harley's phone. Okay, could it be just you and no one else? Al. Yes. Harley's phone. And no one wants to talk, so we asked that as well. Al. Okay. Harley's phone. Thank you. I will let you know when. Al. Okay. Still can't find Gannon, by the way. 4:38 a.m., Letecia drafted and emailed a message from Harley to Massage Envy, quitting her job. It was now Thursday, January 30th. Leticia's tactic the night before was to bargain and to reason with Al to try to get her way, but it had not worked. She would now try a different tactic, a cruel and a hateful one. Between 7:57 and 8:57 a.m., Harley's phone to Al. My life was threatened on social media and told how people are looking for me. My grandma has been threatened, so I do understand the pain and scaredness. My mom did not do anything to harm Gannon. You should know that. I can come this afternoon to get my things. Al, none of that is by me. You are always safe with me, and you know that. Harley's phone. Not by you, but you could stop it. Al. Social media is stupid. You should be with me. Your grandma and them should not have gone on there either. Call me. Harley's phone. I did. You didn't answer. Al. No, I just called you. It went straight to voicemail. Harley, you are 17, and you are my responsibility. I know you are scared and confused about all of this, but I'm making this very clear. I am asking you and Amy to come see me. I need to verify your safety. If you leave without seeing me first, I will fear for your safety and will have to report it to police as missing runaway. If your mom signed consent like you said, I must see it ASAP and have a copy, and it must specify who you are allowed to leave with. This is the issue I was trying to avoid by sending you to safety yesterday, but you chose not to do that. Either way, maintain constant contact with me and keep me informed of your location. I will not come and try to bother you, but I have to know you are safe at all times. Love you. Harley's phone. I'm not scared. Why would you do this when I don't want to be around you? Be with Landon. You turned on my mom. I want to be with my grandma, uncle, and my aunt. I'm not your child, nor will ever be. Al, I disagree, but I respect your opinion. I have to visually confirm your safety. After that, if you decide to leave with your family, we will work through that. Where can we meet? I am about to go to Lena's school, so we can meet there or close to the house. Harley's phone. You promised I could get my things with my family. You said no one would be there but you. Al. Yes, but you are not working with me. Between 8:57 and 10:30 a.m., Harley's phone. I'm not. You will do me like you did Mom. Please stop. You have your car. Give it to Landon. I've paid for it all this time. Stop trying to force me to do something. Al, I'm not getting into a text battle. I need to confirm your safety, and then what you do from there is your decision. Someone is influencing you wrongly. Harley's phone. Influencing me to go with my blood family? We have the same blood, so how is that wrong? I'm safe, so please let me come with my family to get my things. Al, I have to visually confirm. Harley's phone. I'm not meeting you. What is wrong with you? I do not want to be around you. I'm afraid to be around you if my mom is not there. Al, 10:30 at the house to get your stuff. Harley's phone. I've been asking for confirmation because we need to get a rental truck to transport. We could never get that from you, so we have to make the plans. Al, that means nothing to authorities. Please meet at 10:30. Harley's phone. Why are you trying to take me? What do you get out of forcing me when I hate you now? No one is influencing me. I hate you. Al, not forcing you, only confirming your safety. Harley's phone. You mean nothing to me. None of you. You set my mom up so you could be with your ex-wife. I hate you. Al. Well, I love you, and I'm sorry you feel that way. Harley's phone. If you don't want to be with me and my mom, then you can't have me. She is the best mom ever, and she would not harm anyone. You are doing this for control. Mom's attorney is coming to get her things. He will have an order. Letecia was trying to conceal her motive as fear and discomfort in seeing Albert. The real reason Letecia wanted only her trusted family present as she and Harley packed up and removed their belongings is because there was evidence of her crime still hidden inside the home that she needed to remove. Concealed, rolled up inside the larger roll of new carpet in the storage room, was a cut square piece, matching the size missing from the floor, approximately 2 foot by 2 foot, with two large noticeable bloodstains on it. But Letecia was too late. The roll of carpet had been located the previous day during the search as she was conducting her interview with Bethel. As soon as it had been implicated as important during her Eduardo story, the roll of carpet had been located and documented, although it had not yet been unrolled and the bloodstains found. Regardless, Letecia was wrong to believe that she could go to the home in private and remove things. Deputies were positioned at the home anticipating their arrival. At 11:06 a.m., 3 of Letecia's family members arrived at Denver Airport. Her mother, Deborah, her aunt, Brenda, and her brother, Dakota, had traveled to Colorado to support Letecia, who they believed to be innocent, as well as to help search for Gannon. At 1:24 p.m., Letecia and Harley were shopping at a Marshall's for a change of clothing for the night. They were unaware that law enforcement had been surveilling them all day while warrants were being signed for the seizure of Harley's phone and for the Volkswagen Jetta. The decision was made to confiscate these items as Letecia and Harley exited the store before they could enter the vehicle in order to pose the least threat to bystanders. But Letecia exited the store before Harley, so law enforcement confronted her while others stayed behind and maintained a visual on Harley, still inside the store. Per protocol, law enforcement had vests on that readily identified them as such. When instructed to stop, Letecia attempted to flee. She threw the Jetta keys across the parking lot and ran. It was only when a deputy drew his gun that Letecia finally complied. When she saw Harley being detained as well, she began yelling to her daughter to remain silent and to tell them nothing. She was told that she was not under arrest at that time, that law enforcement was just there for the car and the phone. 2 weeks later, during a recorded phone call, Letecia blames Albert, her anger and bitterness obvious for the encounter that day. Although Letecia and Harley's refusal to speak to or cooperate with law enforcement was well documented, She claimed that if Albert had simply called her, they would have freely given the phone in the car. Albert had nothing to do with it, according to the case file. Law enforcement had surveilled Letecia all day awaiting the search warrant that, once signed and an ideal situation arose, was acted upon. All of the drama was Letecia. By throwing the keys and running, the situation was escalated. Letecia ignored commands to stop running, only complying when a deputy drew his gun. Because Letecia ran and had to physically be restrained while she yelled commands at Harley not to cooperate, law enforcement had to detain Harley as well and handcuffed her. As soon as Letecia calmed down, she was released. As deputies told her she was not under arrest, they were only there for the car and the phone. In fact, the only reason Harley's possessions were now being seized was because Letecia began using them after her own were seized. Letecia ignored the layers of responsibility she had for that moment, and instead just blamed it all on Albert, who was recording the conversation with the FBI. And to keep her talking, Albert takes that responsibility.
I tried. The next day, you helped them. You did. Instead of just calling to say, hey, listen, they want to take Harley's car and they want to take her phone. You didn't ever say that, okay? You could have been trusting and said that to me. You know good and well that I have a lot that I worked hard for to throw away for cops, okay? So you could have called me and you could have said that. But instead, they chased us down, and your child that you're saying you want back in your life and you want was put in handcuffs while he's buying underwear.
Listen, you're right. Hold on. I'll stop you right there. All that's my fault. You're right. I could have stopped it. I could have said, no, leave the girls alone. You're right. Okay? Keep going. Tell me the rest of it.
Okay. So when I come back, okay, after all this, we had the most important thing that you knew I needed, the most important thing that means the world to me and all of that was our items, specifically my diamond rings were in that car. I tried to reach out to you to say, can you please at least ask them, can we have those things? You wanted nothing to talk to me because it means the world to me to have my rings on because I took my vows for better, for worse of you. And I tried reaching out for you. Hey, they have my rings. They have my ID. I didn't even have money because they have my card. You wouldn't even talk to me. So then you wonder why? I said, if my husband would not even talk to me, he would not even warn me that my child was about to get put in handcuffs. Okay? And that a gun was put to me because I was yelling at Harley not to move. And I was threatened and told they were going to shoot me right there. Which, by the way, is on camera.
Well, listen. I'm sorry. That's my fault too. Okay. No, I want you to know. I'm telling you, all this is my fault. Okay. I'm acknowledging that. Keep going. I'm just trying to be a team here.
All that. So then you tell everybody I leave. But when the truth is, you didn't step up in any of that and say, "Hey, babe, they took your car."
Okay. All right. No, I'm gonna stop you. I'm gonna stop you there.
When Letecia and Harley were free to leave, Letecia called her family members, who had arrived in town 2 hours earlier. They picked Letecia and Harley up in the rented Nissan Altima and drove to the hotel to settle in for the night. Friday, January 31st, 9:44 a.m., Letecia and her family drive the rented Nissan Altima to Enterprise, where Aunt Brenda rents a 2019 Ford Transit van. In the van, Aunt Brenda, Deborah, and Dakota follow Letecia and Harley in the rented Altima to the Stauch residence to gather their belongings. Far from being alone as Letecia had hoped, the house was full of deputies who watched and checked everything before it left the home. Even books and notebooks were searched page by page. Sergeant Hess, who had been conducting and overseeing searches of the area, speaking to neighbors seeking witnesses and camera footage, was currently following a lead. A single address had been searched on Gannon's phone. The address belonged to Marvin Yanez, a neighbor in the Lorson Ranch neighborhood. 10315 Declaration Drive. Letecia suggested the address had been searched as they delivered a jingle basket in early December as part of a Christmas gift exchange in the neighborhood. Around 11:02 a.m., Sergeant Hess contacted Marvin Yanez, whose wife remembered and confirmed the delivery of the jingle basket. The jingle basket was described as a small gift bag that contained mints. Sergeant Hess then went to the Stauch residence and observed Letecia and family loading the moving van. Prior to Letecia leaving, he spoke with her in the front yard. To compare with what Marvin told him, he asked Letecia about the jingle basket. Letecia said it was a large basket and indicated with her arms a circumference of about 2 foot or larger. She stated that the basket contained 2 bottles of wine, dog treats, dog toys, candy, and other Christmas items. Sergeant Hess contacted Marvin's wife and again asked about the basket, dog toys, and the bottles of wine. And once again, she confirmed that the basket was nothing like Letecia was describing. It was simply a small bag with lifesaver type mints inside. Dropped off anonymously on their front porch. It's such an odd thing to lie about, especially knowing that Sergeant Hess was following the lead and would visit the address and speak to the neighbors. It was documented in the case file as another example of Letecia's mounting lies. Reporters following the story of the missing child were gathered outside, witnessing the spectacle of Letecia loading belongings into the moving van. As Letecia and her family finished and prepared to depart, KKTV reporter Spencer Wilson took a chance and he asked for a comment. To his surprise, Letecia agreed to do an interview, away from the house, deputies, and the other media. Spencer Wilson testified at trial, and the interview footage was shown to the jury. He testified that he noticed Letecia change from present tense to past tense while speaking of Gannon.
I can remember it very clearly. I was on the sidewalk. We were just covering a search that day in the neighborhood. And there was a big moving truck and also a car pulling out of the neighborhood. And somebody rolled down their window and started to chastise me for coverage, being out there and reporting on stuff, and questioned the way that I was telling the story. That person was Letecia Stauch. And I realized that. And I said, well, if you got such a problem with this, why don't we go talk about it?
So when this, you described 2 vehicles. What you said was a moving truck. Was this like a van, like a utility van?
Yeah.
And then the other vehicle, what kind of vehicle was that?
No better description than just a standard car.
Okay.
Not like a truck, not a SUV, little car.
Which vehicle was the defendant in when the window rolled down and there was words said towards you?
The car in the front, the moving car was behind them. She was not in that car.
So she was in the actual vehicle, the
That is correct.
passenger vehicle. What seat was she in?
Oh gosh, I couldn't tell you.
Okay, that's fine.
I believe driver's seat, but I don't feel super clear on that.
Was it immediately apparent to you that the person that was saying these words to you was Letecia Stauch?
No, it took about 5 seconds. And since I had been keeping tabs on the case and the social media along with it, a lot of people were talking about her at the time. And then when it did click, I had this moment of, oh gosh, this is the people everyone's trying to talk to.
What was her demeanor like when she did that?
Angry, I guess is the best way to put it. She was not excited that I was there. She was not excited to see other members of the media there. There was a lot of people down there. covering the story. And just the words she said to me were basically, "You're doing this wrong."
Okay. And so then that's when you make this arrangement to go talk somewhere else. Did you in fact do that?
That's correct. I offered to do an interview. She mulled it over for a quick second. There was some conversation in the car. Eventually she said, "Okay, we'll give this a shot." And I said, being the reporter I was for that station, I don't want everybody else to have this at the same time. So let's go somewhere else. And she agreed that it would be a spectacle if we were to do it right there. So we drove to a construction lot, maybe half a mile away.
Okay. And just for contextual reference, was this on January 31st, 2020?
Correct.
So roughly, I guess, 4 days after Gannon was first reported missing to the police?
That's correct.
Was there a portion of this interview where she asked you actually to redo a portion of it?
That's correct.
Tell the jury about that circumstance.
Towards the end of our interview, after we had had a couple different conversations, I was also, mind you, the cameraman in this instance too. So I'd have to stop and walk behind the camera, hit stop, hit start if we needed to redo things. I think we cut it maybe 2 or 3 times, took breaks, came back on. At the very end, this was the thing that was the most interesting to me and why I remember it so much, is that I asked, "Is there anything that you would want to say to Gannon?" In this interview, she had told me that she believed he was coming home. She said yes, gave her statement, and I said, "Okay, we got it." And then she said, "What if we did that one more time?" And I said, "Sure, whatever you want." So I went back, turned the camera back on, but this time she was crying when she was not crying the first time, and her demeanor completely changed. It went basically from, "I can't wait till you're home. Everyone's going to see that I'm not lying. They owe me an apology," to, "I will not mimic someone crying," but she was very upset in the second part, which took a second to happen.
Based on the things that you were hearing coming from the defendant, Letecia Stauch in this case, during that interview, did it seem that she was more focused on how she was being perceived publicly as opposed to helping find Gannon?
Absolutely. I talked to neighbors who were more concerned for Gannon.
You are.
I am Letecia Stauch, which is Gannon's stepmother.
You've been a part of the investigation since the very first time. You were the last person to see him. Is that right?
Correct.
What did you see when you last saw him?
Well, I'm not allowed to talk about anything with the case. I would more so be willing to talk about how the community needs to have faith and continue to work together and not make these false accusations, like the things that have been said that I've disappeared from the community. I haven't been there to help, but there's lots of reasons behind that.
Reasons like death threats, right?
Right. Death threats are one of them. My family's getting lots of death threats. We counted over 20 some death threats already. 2, my husband's ex-wife is living in our home, and of course I'm not coming home to do these things and to help with the family when I was kind of like told I couldn't. And then many other things that happened with the El Paso County Police Department, and in doing the investigation I was told I wasn't complying. And can I elaborate on that?
Please do.
Yes. So I asked for an attorney during the interview, and I was denied that by them. I was held because they were blocking the door, and I was told I couldn't leave, and that if I would have touched them, they would have probably, said I still wasn't complying, or said I was, trying to run away or something. But during the interview, I asked several times, could I stop the interview? Could I get an attorney? Could I stop the interview? Could I get an attorney? I was denied. I was told I couldn't get nothing to drink. I couldn't go to the bathroom. I mean, it was continuously that my constitutional rights were violated.
And that's why you say that they said then you weren't cooperating with the investigation.
That's why they said I wasn't cooperating at that time. Correct.
And why did you ask for an attorney at the time?
Well, I asked for an attorney at the time because there was one individual, there was 2 really good detectives. And so I'm not, going to talk bad about detectives, but the tactics they started to get when I would answer questions, they try to, they're detectives. They're supposed to twist. The one main goal is to find Gannon. But during that time, some of those things made me feel uncomfortable the way they were saying things. So I immediately stopped and felt like an attorney would help me with some of the vocabulary and things like that I needed help with and understanding some of the things that they were asking.
I'm going to shift gears to what has become a huge online presence of people obviously trying to do the right thing, help find Gannon. But at the same time, sometimes it just feels like rumor mongering. Have you seen any of those comments yourself?
We have, and see, that's one of the main things we haven't been around in the public eye because I didn't want to expose my family to it if all these things were going on. You know, there was comments about Gannon getting pushed off the hike, and there was comments about this, and that's just not true. I took care of Gannon for the last 2 years in our home because his mother didn't want to do it, and I would never, never, ever hurt this child. And I know there's some questions out there about, okay, so tell me what happens. That's up to the investigations when they end up letting you guys know, but I've cooperated with them, even to the point that we were held with a gun, and my daughter, a 17-year-old who serves our country in the United States Air Force, who has never committed a crime or done anything wrong in her life, was put in handcuffs over the keys that was in her purse so they could take her car.
And they weren't in there.
They weren't even in her car. I mean, in her purse.
And
they were in my pocket.
You originally didn't even know if it was a law enforcement officer?
I didn't know it was a law enforcement officer because when he came out, I guess he was putting his jacket on, and it wasn't necessarily his fault. He was adjusting and happened to catch me. But I saw the gun and I panicked originally and kind of thought, oh gosh, I got to, like, who's this guy? And then once I realized it was the sheriff's office, I was totally okay, but they still had a gun and told me they were going to shoot me. But I was really concerned about my daughter, asking why she was being detained in handcuffs and things like that, when that shouldn't even happen for a child. That shouldn't happen for someone who was standing inside of a store shopping, because we couldn't have any clothes because all of our clothes were here. If we came here and got clothes, you know, we would be harassed. So she went to purchase some underwear and things like that and was put in the handcuffs in the store, you know, and then brought out with men with guns. And that's just not okay. You know, they could have approached me and said, hi, I'm with El Paso County. Can I please get this? Instead of the way that it happened.
I'm just going to check your shot. Doing great. I want to make sure that we're still good in recording, still can hear you okay. Okay, yeah, sounds like we're good. Every once in a while my mic will fade out, and I want to make sure that's not going to happen here. Okay. I should try and clarify here. Not necessarily crime rates, but the way that people are reacting online to rumors about you with the search.
Oh yes. Wow. The rumors have gotten so bad. I pretty much have been told at least 10 different ways that these people have these conspiracy theories. I guess they watch a lot of law shows and maybe they have all these theories on how Gannon is dead. And that's what they're saying. So I'm like, why are you saying Gannon is dead? He is not dead. We are going to find Gannon. And that's the main goal that we all have. My family has. Just because you haven't seen us, we have that same goal. We've been out searching. My aunt has been out searching. My family has been out searching. We all have been doing that together so that we could protect each other.
How does it feel when not only you have a lost child who you are in care of, but then people blaming you for that child and family?
You know, I'm just ready for Gannon to come home. Most importantly, for him to see his family. But second, I am going to be so ecstatic when I'm able to say to people that I hope they have a really sincere apology for all these theories that have came out online, for all the things they said that I have done or people have done. And I just want everyone to know that we're going to find Gannon. And I love him so much. I've helped taking care of him for so long.
Can you talk to me a little bit about him? I don't know him.
Gannon is so kind, and he loves to play video games. That's one of his favorite things. He loves Sonic and Mario, and you know, he's always helpful, and he was always so helpful with the dogs around the house, and we have 2 little cute dogs, and he was always like a person I could say, Gannon, can you go do this? And he would do it right away. You know, sometimes with kids, we have to remind them and things like that, and that's okay, but he was so sweet and able to help anyone. He could notice when you're sick and say, are you okay? And such a kind heart.
I know you just said that you can't say anything about the investigation, so you can just say so again if you can't answer this. But is there anything we can hear about the hike? Was there a hike? That just seems like rumors right now.
You know what? Could we bring my daughter up here? Because she can go and say that, you know, she came home from work after the hike, and she can verify that Gannon was at our home.
Okay, yeah, that's fine with me. If she doesn't want to, that's okay, but you're allowed to say after. Not okay so far?
Yes, I need Harley. Because they want you to verify was Gannon at home after the hike. Because you didn't go to the hike, but you came home from work.
Want me to just say yes?
No, just answer the question. Yes, you came home from work, and you can verify Gannon was at home. Yeah. I told her she didn't have to be too in depth because she is still, you know, a child. But I want to make sure that someone knows that there's another person to verify that Gannon.
Sure.
Does she need to hold this?
No.
Yes, so I came home later that evening. I was at work and I can verify that he was there that night.
So there was a hike that you guys went on, but then you guys came home.
Yes.
Where'd you guys go hiking?
Garden of the Gods.
Oh, yes. Okay. I guess when
And then we ate Burger King afterwards, so there
there you go.
Yeah.
And then it just was, I'm gonna go to play at a friend's house. And then it was just I'm off to go to play at a friend's house.
Unfortunately, I'm not able to comment on that anymore, and for that reason is because some things have been turned and twisted, and that was one of those stories you were talking about where people say things. We had to hear things like who would let their child go out at dark and things like that, and that's just why I don't want to answer that. If I had to give, I'm not gonna say that part.
That's okay.
Never mind. I could take that out.
I understand that it gets tricky with
Yeah.
people stuff. Do you feel like I asked you what I need to? Do you feel like this is going to help kind of turn the tide of what feels like a witch hunt, in my opinion?
I hope. Am I on camera now?
You are
Okay.
still.
Okay. I think that a lot of people can see that I'm not missing and see that I am being cooperative. But to me, it's okay that they think those things because the way someone thinks about me, I don't have a problem with that. My main thing is I would never want someone to think that I would hurt Gannon or any of the children in our home because that's just not the case. I've spent my whole entire life working so hard in education. There was even things online that was talking about my education license and I shouldn't even be a teacher. And they just didn't know that. Like we moved on a military move and I didn't finish out my contract. So I gave up my license in that state. It had nothing to do with any criminal activity, or any of those things. And it just got blown out of proportion on my professional status, and
Do you feel like these are just internet detectives who think they know what they're doing?
it definitely is. And, here's the thing that kind of saddens me. It's like, if you're going to talk about someone like that and have a witch hunt out for them, why would you even care, about doing those things? Because this is a child. You're telling me that you're just as mean, you're just as hateful to talk about someone else like that. That's how I feel. Like we should all come together and wait until the end and see what happens because Gannon's going to come home.
Any message for Gannon?
The message for Gannon I have is, Gannon, when you get here, you'll be able to truly tell what happened. And then I really hope I get a sincere apology from everyone who has made all those things, especially from my husband.
We just wanted to add a message to Gannon from my family, is that we love you and miss you, and we hope that you come home soon. And Gannon, I can't wait till you can come home and let everyone know that you're okay. We love you.
This interview is added to the list of times that Letecia Stauch was her own worst enemy. She referred to Gannon approximately 12 times. She referred to herself over 100. 3:26 to 3:38, Letecia and her family were checked into an extended stay America hotel. Her brother Dakota testified that instead of settling in, Letecia stated that she had to leave, that she needed to go buy dog food. That may have not seemed odd, but when Letecia was gone for more than 2 hours, the family took notice. Letecia left the hotel in the rented Nissan Altima at 3:45. What she didn't know was that law enforcement had luckily placed a GPS tracking device on the vehicle only 7 minutes earlier at 3:38. At 4:41, the GPS pinged at the S curve in Douglas County, where Letecia retrieved the suitcase with Gannon's body inside. But she chose to leave behind the piece of particle board with blood on it. She must have thought that no one would ever find it out in the middle of nowhere, nor understand its importance. 5:37, with Gannon's body in the trunk, Letecia goes through the drive-thru at Starbucks and makes a charge on her American Express. Then, at 5:56, returns to the same Petco she used as an alibi the day of the murder. Now she was there to purchase the dog food she has used as an excuse to her family to use the car. At 6:23, the Altima returned to the hotel for the night. February 1st, 8 a.m., the van departs the hotel and this time drove to Budget Car Rental. Learning that Letecia planned to drive the van across country, Aunt Brenda was not comfortable having the van rented in her name. The first van was returned and a new van was rented. This is very important as it resulted in some of the most damning testimony against Letecia. Her brother Dakota testified that as they transferred the belongings from one van to the other, he saw Letecia struggling with a suitcase that he had not seen the day prior. The suitcase was obviously heavy, but she refused his offer to help. She claimed it contained softball equipment. Months later, when Gannon's body was found, when Dakota saw that same olive green suitcase on the news, he knew that his sister was guilty. For now, the family parted ways. Aunt, mother, and brother caught a bus for the airport to return home. Letecia and Harley immediately left Colorado Springs, wanting to put distance between them and the jurisdiction Letecia knew was now investigating her. She was the number one suspect, and she knew it. The weekend before January 27th, Letecia had fantasized about this very moment, driving away in a moving van, all of her belongings packed, with Harley and the two puppies, driving away from mountains and snow back to her beloved beach, sunshine, and bikinis, driving away from Albert, who no longer fell for her manipulation and her bullshit. If only she had. There is simply no way to fathom how or why, when she drove away that day, the body of her 11-year-old stepson was concealed among the suitcases. If she simply ignored, couldn't comprehend, or worse, relished in the pain and the destruction she left behind her. She could leave the area, for now, but she could not stop the investigation in progress. And although her behavior had been extreme up to this point, it was far from over. She had ended the life of her stepson, and now this road trip would jeopardize her very own daughter. Harley was very nearly arrested and charged as an accessory. Just as she officially became an adult, her dreams and her future and her freedom were compromised. Though she later works with attorneys and avoids legal prosecution, Harley remains the most polarizing aspect of this case. People remain divided between seeing her as an innocent victim and as complicit, her mother's daughter, a willing accomplice. Thank you so much for watching. Next in the series is Part 8, The Pretext Phone Calls. Light and love to you all, and again, thank you so much for listening and commenting. As always, please send love and light to Gannon and to his family.